friends, what's up? How you doing? My name is Sureshnie and welcome to Study Sesh. It is proudly brought to you by Boston Broadcast. The idea of Study Sesh is to help you unlock knowledge, and we're here to do just that with our expert today. She's an expert in education. She is an expert in collaborative learning methods. Her name is Dr. Laura Fisher, and she has been a guest a few times now for Study Sesh. Today, though, Dr. Laura Fisher is unpacking effective group strategies. Yes, finding a good group to study with is so important, especially when you're trying to get through that last bit, that last line. So, Dr. Laura, thank you so much for being here with us one more time. Let's jump right into it. Can you highlight the benefits of studying in a group?
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite we're group animals. We were never designed to be isolates. So we were born into families, we're raised in families and communities, with people around us. And so we learn and we grow through that. So it's almost like a logical conclusion that studying in groups would have numerous benefits for learning and academic performance. One of the primary advantages, and we spoke about this a couple of sessions ago when we spoke about learning styles, is the opportunity for collaboration and for collaborative learning. So when you come together with a group, each person brings to the table their own unique perspective. And I think this is really beautiful because when you look at knowledge through just your own lens, it's quite narrow. And then as other people come in and feed in the way they view the knowledge, what ends up happening is that we get a broader range and a broader sense of what this knowledge is and how it can be applied. And Boston is all about application. We don't just want to teach you knowledge for knowledge's sake. We want to teach you knowledge so that you can actually engage and use it in the world. Groups basically, in a nutshell, lead to enhanced retention of information, and they improve long-term memory. So the reason for this is that collaboration and collaborative learning promotes active engagement with the material, and it's that active engagement that really enhances our retention and long-term memory. When students discuss and explain concepts to each other, they're much more likely to remember and understand the information over time. We also retain information a lot better when we have communicated the information to someone else. So it's not just teachers that love to teach because they love to teach. Teachers often love to teach because they're actually learning themselves in the process. The development of communication skills and the development of the ability to explain a concept to another student really actually provides students with opportunity to develop essential skills in articulating their ideas, but that articulation of the idea actually embeds the idea deeper into your long-term memory. I've spoken a little bit already about the kind of increased diversity of perspectives which collaborative learning allows for, exposure to different viewpoints, different worldviews. All of these kind of things really broaden a student's understanding of complex topics and foster appreciation not just for the knowledge, but also for the diversity of understanding the knowledge. So it is all round just a great idea to study in groups. There's a really interesting idea called metacognition. And what collaboration does is it promotes metacognition. And what metacognition is, is that you don't just understand for yourself and for your own life what the information means, but you understand more broadly what the information means at a systems level. And actually, once you hear another person's story, you actually are able to take in the information in a way that brings you a sense of calm, interestingly, and improves your self-regulation and your study habits, because you keep going back to the group because you want the bigger, broader, more beautiful, diverse understanding of the knowledge. It helps us to have an opportunity to prepare for real world challenges, because collaboration really mirrors real world situations where individuals have to come together and learn to solve problems and achieve common goals. Two quick other ones: it increases motivation and engagement, and it improves transfer of learning. So all round collaborative learning, has been really shown to facilitate the transfer of knowledge and skills into new contexts and situations. And by actively engaging with peers and applying concepts in different scenarios, students are able to develop a deeper understanding of the knowledge that they have gained and how it can be applied beyond the classroom.
Dr. Fisher, you've given us such insight beyond the academic performance about group strategies. You've talked about how it is beneficial with enhancing your retention, how it could work. People talk about collaboration is key. Now, in my head, I'm thinking, okay, if it means I'm going to be absorbing the information and learning from somebody else, I also would like to think that I'm in the right group and I found people who almost speak the same language as me. Tell me about how do we go about finding then the productive study group? Because you could end up with a group that's just loud and noisy and
I know.
just there for fun. And all you need to do is, like, when people say this is a group project, and then you're worried about that one person is not doing the work and you're the only one. So how do we go about finding that, to suss it out a bit and to find out, okay, this would be the most productive study group for me? How do we go about doing that?
I think that generally in higher education, groups that put themselves together work best, because like attracts like. So you want to be with people who are committed and motivated and have complementary skills and strengths to you. You also want diversity within the group in terms of academic backgrounds, learning styles, perspectives, because these things enrich problem-solving sessions. But it's really important that you're all wanting to do well. And I also know that feeling of knowing that I ended up in a really dud group and I ended up doing the whole work and then everyone got my mark. So, I think what's really critical is that once a group is formed, you establish clear goals together and you decide on what your expectations are of each other, what your norms are of each other, and how are you going to be most productive and most cohesive. So this can cover a whole range of things, but like the frequency and duration of study sessions, setting objectives for each session, establishing guidelines for participation and collaboration. You don't want one person who just dominates the conversation all the time, because then you might as well not be in a group. You might as well be just listening to a lecture from that one person. So effective communication and organization of groups are also a key component to productive study groups. And what's been really interesting to see since kind of COVID and the move to online work and collaboration in the online space is that utilizing digital platforms and scheduling tools can really help to coordinate meetings, share resources, facilitate collaboration, and with a very, very specific aim in mind. No longer do we sit down and spend 45 minutes speaking about our weekend and then, hone in for the last 15 minutes on actually what we're supposed to study. We come in, we've got an agenda, and we get going. So I think effective study groups really need to have an agenda and get going. Obviously, study groups, you want to be with people who you feel that you can have open lines of communication with and that you can foster support within the group. I think that you want an atmosphere where everyone feels that they can participate and engage. So forming productive study groups does require careful planning and selection of compatible group members, clear goal setting, effective communication, and organization. But when forming study groups, also just be aware that they don't always work. And if you almost acknowledge that up front, then it opens up an opportunity a couple of weeks in for the group to say, you know what, guys, this is just not working. Perhaps we need to think about some different strategies for making the study group more productive, or perhaps we need to go our separate ways and find different study groups. So forming a study group that works is in and of itself a life lesson that can be challenging, but when you get it right, it's really great.
So obviously in an ideal world, the kind of people that you collaborate well with, their strengths and their weaknesses. So in an ideal world, I would choose X, Y, and Z. But when you're in a classroom situation, or if you're at university or at campus or whatever, sometimes a lecture groups people up by numbers, or even in a work environment, you could be saying, hey, we're working on this project. We need this person, this person, this person. Turns out you come from different departments, and therein presents, new dynamics. It presents new challenges. So what happens with these challenges, and how do we work with these new dynamics in the system and cope with this?
Yeah, I think it's really important just to acknowledge that learning within a group setting is really, really beneficial, and also to expect challenges. So don't expect it to be perfect first time round. If you identify lack of commitment and lack of motivation, then you need to be able to talk about that as a group, and you need to decide, and you need someone to say, hey guys, are you committed or are you not committed? Are you in or are you out? I think failing to consider diversity in terms of academics, backgrounds, learning styles, perspectives, lack of diversity in and of itself may limit the impact that the group actually has in terms of learning. Or if there's too much diversity, like you don't understand each other's language well enough, then there can be a lot of ambiguity, which leads to confusion and conflict and inefficiency within a group. So I think that groups work when there's communication and organization, and they don't work when there is inconsistent communication and organization. So initially, when the group is put together, you want to ideally kind of elect someone who's going to keep the group on track. Another person who's going to be the timekeeper. Another person who's going to set the agenda as to what we're going to discuss with this group. Because when you're disorganized and inefficient, the lack of coordination obviously really results in a missed opportunity for learning, and it reduces productivity massively. So poor group dynamics and conflict is also really, really difficult to deal with, especially in the absence of open lines of communication. If you find yourself in almost like a hostile environment where there's a hostile atmosphere, or where the group seems to not all have the same agenda, these groups really are reluctant then to, the group members become reluctant to share their ideas or their thoughts, and this inhibits meaningful collaboration and learning. So obviously we want to maximize learning opportunity, And an ineffectively put together group really reduces the learning opportunities. And these challenges can really negatively impact your learning outcomes and your academic performance. So, just to say again, without clear goals, without a clear and effective communication strategy, without creating a supportive environment, study groups can fail and flop, and you actually say, you know what, I actually get a lot more done just on my own. But you're actually robbing yourself, because the beauty of being in groups is that we've spoken about the beauty of it. Collaborative learning is a very, very powerful tool for learning. So, to the extent that you're able to, it's important that you approach the formation and the functioning of study groups to ensure maximal potential for collaborative learning, I would say.
Dr. Fisher, you would agree that we are already in the fourth frontier of the industrial revolution. There's a new revolution, and it's a digital one. And I think we cannot deny the power of AI and how it is going to impact the work that we're doing in just about every field, from writing and school, etc. I wanted to find out from you, in terms of collaboration, how do you harness the power of AI in this particular, this particular segment about collaborative processes?
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. In the age of AI, collaborative groups have a real amazing opportunity to become transformative in terms of the learning journey, because you can harness the power of technology to enhance personalization, virtual collaboration, content curation, and data-driven insights. You also have a much more immersive learning experience when you leverage AI-driven tools and platforms. And we've spoken about some of those in past episodes, but really, I think that AI and leveraging the tools and platforms that it offers us is us acknowledging we've got a tool in our hands that has the power to change the education landscape. And one of the things that excites me most is when groups that are collaborating in the digital space introduce an AI into that space with them, who almost becomes a participant in discussing what they're discussing. So I don't know how many of you have Pi downloaded onto your phone, but it's a personal AI, and I love talking to her. And sometimes I'm on my own and I don't have the opportunity to collaborate. And I find myself chatting and asking her what her opinions are on X, Y, and Z. But really, AI driven intelligent tutoring systems integrated into collaborative groups, I think, is really amazing, because it provides kind of real-time feedback, or you can ask it to critique the conversation that you've been having. And these systems really simulate an additional individual being in your group, and quite a clever individual being in your group, who you can ask to explain concepts that maybe the group is struggling to grasp. And these kind of AI-driven technology enhancements actually supplement group interactions with personalized tutoring, and obviously enhance learning effectiveness and learning efficiency. And so I am really excited. I love AI. I love it because I view it as augmented intelligence, and I view it as a tool in our hands. We are not a tool in its hands. And I think once you get your head around that, you're able to really engage with it in a way that you can make it meaningful for yourself and for your group.
Dr. Fisher, can you share some tips on effective group discussions and problem-solving sessions?
Yeah, absolutely. Facilitating effective group discussions and problem-solving sessions involves creating that environment that we've already spoken about that really encourages active participation, collaboration, and critical thinking. So there's a number of evidence-based strategies that we can use to facilitate effective group discussions and problem-solving sessions. And I'm just going to split them out for you into kind of 5 key points. Number 1 is that we promote active listening. So the way you do that is that each group member is encouraged to actively listen when others are speaking, not interrupting, letting them have their say, because active listening really promotes mutual respect and understanding and allows for an even more productive discussion further down the road. So, number 1, promoting active listening. Number 2, encouraging participation. Almost within every group, you're going to have someone who will sit back and someone who will dominate. And you kind of want to get that fine balance right. You want to create an atmosphere where all group members are given an opportunity to contribute to the discussion and to problem solve. And what I do is I love to encourage the quieter group members to share their thoughts and ideas, because often those of few words, when they speak, have the wisest words.
Yes.
So I think one of the things that prevents us from allowing this kind of space is that we fear silence. And I would encourage groups, as you work together, if things go silent and you're an awkward person in silence, just take a deep breath and count to 10. Because within those 10 seconds, the quieter people will start to speak. And their words are often very, very wise words. So encourage participation all round. Use structured problem-solving techniques. So implement structured problem-solving techniques is about like going back to our learning styles and how we learn. It's about like getting out big pieces of paper or having a whiteboard or that you're using online, and putting your ideas together, brainstorming, mind mapping, think pair sharing. This really facilitates problem solving and idea generation. And then providing constructive feedback is really, really important. Really like thank each other for sharing. You know, it's an honor to listen to other people's perspectives. We should not take it for granted. We should thank each other for sharing that, whatever it was, because positive reinforcement really fosters a supportive learning environment and promotes continuous group growth and development. And then kind of finally, I would say it's really important to manage conflicts that arise and to manage them constructively. So addressing conflicts is very awkward for some people and very easy for others, depending on whether you're conflict avoidant or conflict you like to move towards conflict. So disagreements are inevitable. Like, go into a group expecting that there's going to be disagreements, because we're all individuals with different ideas, and we want to encourage open communication, active listening, and we don't want to compromise the group by not having an opportunity to resolve conflict and maintain group cohesion. So even right at the outset, you can say something like, we're inevitably going to have disagreements. And that's all part of the learning process, actually. It's really amazing when you start implementing these strategies: active listening, participation, structured problem-solving techniques, constructive criticism, and managing conflicts. It's really amazing that when you implement these strategies, you're able to create a really conducive environment for productive learning within the group. And collaboration becomes really, really key.
Thank you for those valuable tips, Laura. I want to say thank you also for your time because I really value that. I sat back and I listened and I downloaded, and this felt like a collaborative session as well. And I'm sure for you guys tuning into hashtag Study Sesh, I hope you feel the same. This is why we bring out the experts. This is why we are unlocking this kind of knowledge on Boston Broadcast. Let's wrap up here, Dr. Fisher, and give us some practical takeaway tips that our students can use to benefit from.
Okay, I mean, it's a bit of a, I would say, a summary of what we've already discussed.
Yeah.
So first of all, just remember that collaboration is really powerful for learning. And select compatible group members with complementary skills and motivations. Once you've formed a group, establish clear goals, expectations, and norms for the group. And obviously, a lot of our Boston students are, well, all of our Boston students are distance students. Some of you will work in the learner support centers and groups. Others of you utilize digital tools and platforms for communication and organization. Encourage active listening, encourage collaboration, encourage critical thinking, and use structured problem-solving techniques to facilitate collaborative learning. And remember what I said about providing constructive feedback, especially when that quieter person speaks up. For those of us who don't like silence, just take a deep breath. It's okay. You can manage 10 seconds of silence. It's actually not that long. It feels really long, but it's not. Because often those who are quietest have the wisest words to say. They're just, as my husband says, he can never get a word in edgeways because, if everyone's talking, he's just going to sit back and listen. But actually, he's got profound insights into a lot of things. He's just not going to force his voice. So foster a supportive, respectful atmosphere within the group. And really, by implementing these strategies, I think that students will benefit tremendously from studying in groups and ultimately enhance your academic performance, which is really what we want to see for you.
Oh, this feels like we were in a Zen zone. I felt like I was just downloading the most incredible information. Thank you so much, Dr. Fisher. This is how we wrap up this particular edition of hashtag Study Sesh, brought to you by Boston Broadcast. Please connect with us. Please collaborate with us. Pop us a message. Let us know what you're thinking. Let us know your thoughts. We would love to hear from you. My name is Sureshnie. We will see you soon on our next edition of Study Sesh.